Welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, the appeal court is expected to give judgment in the asset declaration suit involving the embattled Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onoge. And the PDP says it is challenging the appeal court decision which upheld the victory of Osun State Governor Oyetola as the legal battle continues. On Northern News, they have cautioned the APC against any form of imposition in the election for the leadership of the 9th National Assembly. Welcome everyone to the program. Let's kick off this noon from the courtroom where the Court of Appeal is expected to deliver judgment in the various appeals filed by the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, today, May the 10th. Justice Onoge had filed the appeals concerning his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal where he was tried and convicted for false assets declaration. It is not clear which of the appeals pending at the appeal court will be decided today, but some of the appeals before the appellate court include an appeal against the decision of the chairman of the tribunal, Mr. Danladi Umar, who refused to recuse himself from the matter on allegations of bias by Justice Onoge. And that Justice Onoge is also challenging the legality of his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal as he questions the order of the tribunal, which President Muhammadu Buhari relied on to suspend him from office as Chief Justice. Let's go over now to the court premises. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor, who is covering proceedings live for us. Amaka, what more do we know now?
We're at the appeal court where the panel of the appeal court is expected to deliver judgment in some appeals filed by the suspended CJ and Justice Walter Onoge. According to a message sent by the Chief Press Secretary of the court yesterday, it ought to have started at 9:30 an hour ago. We're waiting for the panel to not clear which of the appeals the panel would deliver a judgment on today, but there are 4 appeals emanating from the trial of the suspended CJ, and 3 of those appeals were filed prior to his trial, and 1 after his sentencing and conviction by the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Some of those appeals include an appeal against the ruling of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, that is Mr. Umar Danladi, where he refused to reach Justice Walter Onoge, ending his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. He also has a 3rd appeal challenging the motion that ordered the President of Nigeria. We don't know.
That's audio issues there, but that's our correspondent live for us there at the Court of Appeal in Abuja, and we'll try to connect with her a little later on. Elsewhere, there have been reactions to yesterday's decision of the Court of Appeal, which set aside the ruling of the Election Petition Tribunal that nullified the election of Governor Oyetola of Osun State, except a superior pronouncement is made from the Supreme Court. The verdict from the Court of Appeal validates Mr. Oyetola's election as the duly elected governor of the state. The appellate court nullified the tribunal's ruling on the grounds that the judgment relied on the evidence of 2 witnesses which were not observed. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor got this report.
The small court was filled to capacity as lawyers and supporters of the parties in the suit await the judgment of the appeal court in an appeal filed by Governor Adegboyega Oyetola of Osun State, challenging the judgment of the tribunal which nullified his election. The appellate court, in the majority judgment delivered by presiding Judge Justice Jummai Sankey and supported by 3 members of the 5-member panel, declared the decision of the tribunal as a nullity. The court upheld the submission of the council to the Osun State Governor, Mr. Oyetola, that the petition was incompetent from the beginning and that it was the tribunal itself that amended it and granted the release not sought by Senator Adeleke. Justice Sankey noted that the Court of Appeal ordinarily, having set aside the entire proceedings of the tribunal, ought to order a retrial of the case, but the 180 days provided by law for election petitions has elapsed. Meanwhile, a member of the panel, Justice George Mbamba, gave a dissenting judgment which dismissed the appeal and upheld the decision of the tribunal. His position is that the submission of the appellant that Justice Obiora did not participate in the proceedings remains speculative because the court record states otherwise. In two other appeals filed by the All Progressive Congress and the Independent National Electoral Commission, the court entered a majority judgment of 4-1 in favor of the appellant.
But at this appeal, the majority decision went against us. But I'm categorically telling the whole world that we still have the right of appeal to the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land. We are not satisfied with the majority judgment as delivered, and we are exercising our right of appeal to the Supreme Court for the final determination of this issue of Osun State governorship election as said in 2018.
We are happy that today the minority judgment of the tribunal has become the majority judgment of the Court of Appeal. And we believe that this is another new dawn in our democratic journey, because some of the innovations INEC introduced in the Osun election were repeated in the last general election. And the issues that these judgments have resolved today will assist the lower tribunals now in navigating through some of the new petitions.
By the verdict of the appeal court, Governor Adeboyega Oyetola was validly elected in the Osun State September 2018 governorship elections. But it remains to be seen what the future holds, as Senator Adeleke has vowed to appeal to the Supreme Court, where he still has the right of appeal. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
Jubilation from the camp of the APC greeting the decision of the Court of Appeal yesterday, as some residents took to the streets, rejoining in some streets of Osun State. Supporters of Governor Oyetola and the All Progressives Congress trooped out in their numbers to celebrate his victory at the appeal court. The governor and his supporters moved in a procession amidst pomp and ceremony. Governor Oyetola, he says the victory is for the people of the state, as he restates his confidence in the judiciary.
The judiciary is the hope of the people. I believe in the integrity of the judiciary. They've done a wonderful job. 4-1 is unanimous. I thank them. I thank the people of the state for the solidarity. You can see things for yourself. People throughout without being prompted. That shows that I won that election squarely. That shows the APC is the most popular party in our state. That shows the people believe that we are going to run a good government. I dedicate myself to the service of the people. I'm happy. We are ready for them. Facts are sacred. Facts are same, whether at the appeal or the Supreme. We are ready for them. Let them go there. We meet them now.
While the Osun State governor and his party celebrate, the opposition People's Democratic Party, they've announced that it will appeal the Court of Appeal's verdict of the controversial Osun State governorship election at the Supreme Court. The party says in a statement that it is not in any way shaken by the judgment of the Court of Appeal, but stands with Nigerians in the confidence that justice and respect for the will of the people of Osun State will definitely prevail at the apex court. The statement says, quote, "It is instructive to state that the Court of Appeal did not contest or invalidate the fact that Senator Adeleke won the election, but only cited technicalities and speculations to arrive at its decision." The PDP has also noted that the Court of Appeal failed to act on the full and substantial import of the failure of INEC to produce the ballot papers and record of accreditation to disprove our position that INEC altered results and subverted the will of the people of Osun State. End of quote. The PDP is assuring its supporters that in the next 2 months, Senator Adeleke will be declared the real winner of the election. Elsewhere, the People's Democratic Party is protesting the involvement of the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bukachua, in the Presidential Election Tribunal. The main opposition party is asking her to withdraw as a member of the 5-man panel of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. In a petition received in the Court of Appeal's President's office in Abuja on Thursday, the party alleged that as the chairman of the 5-man panel, Justice Bukachua would likely be biased in the handling of the tribunal's proceedings because of her ties to family members belonging to the All Progressives Congress. The party in the petition, which was signed by its national chairman, Uche Secondus, and its national secretary, Umar Sari, specifically said Bukachua's husband, Adamu Bukachua, contested and won the Bauchi North Senatorial District election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress during the February 23, 2019 poll. So let's get some perspective on some of the legal issues in today. We have joining us a legal practitioner, Mr. Evans Ufeli. Many thanks for joining us on the program. So looking at a host of legal issues, let's start with the last one, PDP's petition to the appeal court president. I mean, what are the rules for recusal, and do you think there should be a basis for her to take that decision?
Well, there is a common law principle in law, which Latin, I will explain, nemo judat in casa sua. What it means is that you cannot be a judge in your own case, okay? So it is what the PDP thinks that there is an issue of affinity here, and then as such, the particular judge should recuse herself from the process because there is a possibility or tendency or the likelihood of bias where you have such a person standing in as a judge in a case where there are some relational issues in terms of either marriage or in terms of birth or whichever way it comes. So there's a tendency. And then I don't think that it's out of place to share such fears because of the outcome. And then because this is a highly placed office, it's a very high profile case, for which the judiciary cannot afford, to be complicit in any way whatsoever. So I think that the grounds is tenable. It should be looked into, and objectively, the judiciary will decide what the next step should be.
Let's go over to the Court of Appeal yesterday, upholding Governor Oyetola as governor of that state. I mean, when the other party, Mr. Adeleke's party, in a statement signed by him personally, he said that the appellate court relied on a weak foundation. I know you've looked at some of the reports flowing from yesterday's judgment. What are your thoughts? More on technicalities rather than substantive?
Yeah, the crux of the appellate court decision was that the judge who wrote the lead judgment was absent in one of the proceedings in February 6th or thereabouts, and as such couldn't have reviewed the case properly to have come to that conclusion where you now have the crux. And then the issue of the form, that is the form EC8A, okay, which was not provided. And then
all these technicalities.
Yeah, the court went ahead to say that it is not substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act. We've got two things spelled out here when it comes to election tribunal matters. The first is that there must be substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act, and the second is that the substantial non-compliance must affect the result. Okay, so where there is non-compliance, but it does not affect the results as it were, of course, it can be dismissed. But where the substantial non-compliance affect the outcome of the result, then you have issues at hand. So that is what is being raised over there.
We'll come back to our guest, Mr. Ufeli, who is still in the studio, as we take a quick break now. We'll also bring you some northern news. They've warned that the APC, or rather warned the All Progressives Congress Party against imposing candidates to lead the National Assembly. More details after the break.